love that.
I say.
I love that intro. Thank you so much, Diami. That intro was created and made for me by Mr. Diami. I, Diamin. I kept saying Diami. I appreciate it. The music you hear in the background is yours truly, John Skywalker. He is available on all streaming platforms. This is Things That People Don't Want to Talk About, brought to you by God Level, currently down here in St. Louis, Missouri, home of the St. Paul Emos Red Hot Ripples. My name is Renee. I'm originally from here. I am a nurse. I'm a mother. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a podcaster. And I want to thank y'all for coming in tonight. That being said, John, go ahead and represent yourself.
John Easton here, aka John Skywalker, the Sky Talker, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and father. Yo, I have three hip hop albums available on all streaming platforms. Go ahead and cop that, y'all. Look for John Skywalker on your favorite streaming platform device. Salute.
King Newborn, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Peace, peace, peace. You can follow me at Newborn Everything on all social media platforms. This is King Newborn coming at you live. And once again, as always, I am.
I say.
Sabah Diamond, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Welcome, Itiam Itip, beloveds. I am Saba Diamen. I am the facilitator and instructor for the 9-month multi-level course of Meeting of the Masters, where it's a course about leading to self-mastery, our own knowledge and self-mastery, bringing out the master within ourselves, as well as a Saba and practitioner at Courage Unity Center of African Spiritual Science. I'm also the initiate from Osiris Set, an Osirian initiate, and of course, holder of multiple degrees in the fields of psychology, physiology, exercise science, and so forth, and also electronic engineering. And so, father of four, grandfather of one. Now I'm here among my new beautiful family. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining, for being a part. We really appreciate it. I know my brothers was gleaming. They was like, yeah,
And that's
get him,
mutual.
get him. We want him on the show. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And here you are. Today's topic, hey, Joanna, good evening, King. Don't be just speaking to him. Don't forget about us other three. Miss Joanna Smith. Yeah, I had to call her out on that one. I'm sorry. John, don't look like that. Tonight's topic is obesity. Last week we talked about hypertension. The week before we talked about diabetes. These three topics is what plagues our community really badly. So we're just going to shed a light, just have a conversation. If you have any thoughts concerning anything, please feel free to go ahead and hit that chat line, 832 is it 6188? Oh Lord, I should know this by heart, as many times as I've said it. Let's see, hold on one second. Yeah, 832-318-6966. King Newborn, can you go ahead and post that number? And we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much. Obesity is a complex disease involving an excess amount of body fat. It is not just a cosmetic concern, it is a medical problem that increases the risk of other diseases such as heart problems, let me back up. That increase the risk of other diseases such as of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, and certain cancers. Causes is an unhealthy diet, liquid calories such as soda, your beer, inactivity, medication. Some medication that you can take can actually help you, not help you, but increase your weight without even trying. Age, stress, and I keep seeing this with everything, lack of sleep. Treatment, change your diet. exercise, bring down your stress level, stay away from beer. All in a nutshell, there it is. Anybody want to add anything to that? Because I just basically
Yeah,
gave the
yeah. You
problem as
yeah,
soon.
you gave a quick summary. You gave a quick summary.
I gave a quick summary. I
Yeah.
did. It is horrible. I'm thicker than a Snickers.
Hmm. Hmm.
I could use a little activity, working out, some walking.
So,
Don't
and with that, we want the audience members to know that today's discussion is about raising awareness,
yes,
and acquiring some understanding, and even just for yourselves, if you're experiencing this, developing some self compassion, some self understanding, right? We're not intent on shaming anyone for their body type or their lifestyle choices. We're here to ask questions. We're here to answer them. We're here to share information, share wisdom. Um, we're here to encourage people uh, who are affected by obesity to make some lifestyle changes, and commit to them, right? Because it really is a commitment. It's an investment in your health. It's an investment in yourself. It's a commitment to yourself. Um, and you don't even have to be personally affected by obesity, right? You may know a family member or a friend who lives with it, and you recognize how it impacts their quality of life, and so you develop some compassion for them. But understand that no one can force you to change your lifestyle or commit to health. No one can force that upon you. That is a personal decision, personal commitment. The
right,
motivation for change um, has to be personal. It has to be somewhat intrinsic. Although in the scope of fitness, extrinsic motivation is good to initiate, right? There might be some external motivators like, okay, you're trying to fit into this bathing suit, or it might be a competition. But in order to maintain this lifestyle, in order to maintain this condition, it has to be intrinsically motivated. It has to come from within. Um, I highly advise that. Um, I highly advise empowerment when it comes to this type of stuff. You're not trying to entice anybody, trying to seduce anybody, you're not trying to persuade anybody to lose weight or to make a lifestyle change. Um, but I'll just close out with saying that the first rep always begins in your mind. The first rep to 1,000 reps begins in your mind.
Okay.
absolutely. Diamond, you have anything you want to add?
Yes, I would definitely concur with my brother John, um, as far as the way this thing begins. But obesity is a multifaceted beast. It is something uh, that has many root causes, and there are also, that means it has many solutions as well, that
Ooh,
even go beyond just diet and exercise.
Yeah.
right,
And so when we look at such a thing, we have to look at the body from like different ways. We have to look at the body type or the metabolic type. We have this somatic type. We have the um, Ayurvedic type. We have, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, how those two correlate to one another. So it has a lot to do with that, but also, um, what does genetics have to do with,
Mm.
people's disposition, for attaining obesity, for getting to that point? What is your own attitude have to do with that? What is your own element, the element that you carry? And we're talking about air, fire, earth, and wind. What is it? Air, water,
mm,
fire, and earth, right?
Yeah.
So
right,
so whichever of these elements you're expressing also has a lot to do with your propensity to become obese or not. And so we have to look at this thing, and the Western world can actually limit us in our understanding of such a thing. But it's the reason why why it was in 2013, this was determined to be a chronic disease. Obesity was determined to be a chronic disease, and there are some people who just who can't really help it, because of certain conditions that they have, so that actually cause these fat cells to replicate beyond their control, despite dietary and behavioral changes. So we have to look at a lot of stuff, hormones and things like that come into play as well.
When you say hormones, these are the hormones, not just only the hormones that we have, but the ones that we are ingesting, because hormones have been put. We, well, we know they've been putting hormones in the food
Yeah, but
to
remember,
make it grow faster.
even when those hormones come inside of our body, they have to initiate other hormones. Hormones are like communication systems
Hmm.
inside the body. Nothing happens without a hormonal intervention. Everything, like, there has to be a hormone to even tell a hormone to turn on, or to manifest. There are hormones to tell that same hormone to turn off. You see, so these hormones, there's always that communication going on inside the body. There are hormones to tell our body what to do with hormones that we ingest from other animals.
Wow.
You know, so we have to look at these, look at all of this, and then these hormones too, because of the state of mind that we can be in. It has a lot to do with how we produce fat, how we store fat on the body, where we store it on the body, and so forth. So it's a lot. It's a lot going on with that. But we'll unpack this slowly.
Oh
uh,
yeah, Corey Dunn says the body is made up of hormone communication going on all the time.
all the time.
Corey, Corey Dunn, you have the number. Go ahead and give us a call.
Yes,
832
Corey.
Yeah,
6966.
Yeah,
Yeah, Corey.
I've been
Yeah,
following Corey.
Corey.
Corey
yeah,
on point.
yeah.
Corey's always on point.
He's on point.
Bless up, brother. Bless up.
He's
Shit.
on the path. Yeah, he
Yeah.
studies this very well. So yeah, he knows. He
Oh
knows. Go
yeah.
ahead, yeah.
Now I'm looking at some numbers. U.S. obesity rates on the rise. 130. They said 113 million by 2022. Right now, 36.20% of the population is obese.
36. Hmm.
Am I? That's a
I,
lot.
I've seen a different statistic out there. I've seen, but of course,
Yeah.
it's a different time. I've seen another
Mhm.
one out there that's 42. But there's a question to that also. Um,
Okay.
so with statistics, I know there's a lot of reliance on statistics. You gotta take into consideration statistics are not perfect. Okay, so there is
Yeah.
there's a question of definition, right? So
Mm.
I know that Canada has been starting this initiative for a while, in changing their definition of obesity. When I've looked in like textbooks over the past few years at the definition, a lot of it is gauged by BMI. For those of you out there who don't know, that means body mass index, right? And
Yeah.
now there's formulas for you to figure out what your BMI is, but um, the thing about BMI is it's a very simple metric, right? It's just your
Okay.
your height to weight ratio, but they use that to determine whether you're obese or not. So they have the obese category that stems from BMI, but what's the problem with that? What makes it kind of fallible is, I mean, doctors use it just for a quick assessment, right? But I'm 180 and I'm 5'5". I'm 180 pounds and I'm 5'5". That's 65 inches. My BMI is right on 30.
You're
It is
obese.
at 30. I am obese
So
by
am
that
I.
metric.
I'm obese as well. Mine is like
Are
31.
you serious?
Mhm.
Okay,
so,
Corey Dunn. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so,
Go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead and read that comment. By the way, go ahead and read
Uh,
that comment. Love.
the statistics constantly change upon studies, so that number would never be 100% accurate, especially when you include BMI. Go
So,
for it.
so the reason why I mentioned that is because we were just talking about the statistics, right? And I'm seeing different
Mm-hmm.
numbers. So when I look at that statistic, and I'm like, all right, so what population of Americans or what percentage of Americans are obese? I have to ask the other question: how are you guys define obesity?
Good
How are
question.
you measuring it? Because your numbers could be skewed, and it's like, all right, are, if you got just two out of your sample group right here, if you go only by BMI, if I'm looking at these statistics, are you guys going strictly by BMI, or are you accounting for other variables? Are you accounting for fat mass percentage? Are you accounting for the body type? Where's the fat, located? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I wouldn't trust. I wouldn't rely on it too much because
Mm-hmm.
they could be very like grossly wrong just based off of the definition. So it's not really clear, but I know again, I believe the Canadian medical. This was like a few years ago. Um, they're saying that obesity should be defined by a patient's overall health and not just by their weight, because that's how America is right now. We pretty much define it according to your weight or height, right? Canadian officials were basically saying that you should redefine it as a complex disease in which there's excess or abnormal amounts of fat impairing the health, right? So what BMI misses is body composition, and that is a critical
Mm-hmm.
factor if we're talking about
Often.
obesity. So,
Okay.
what Saad Diamond is also alluding to here is we're talking about the entire system here. Like I have, a pretty high lean muscle mass, and then there's metabolism. What is the metabolism like for this individual? That's a bigger
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, what if you have a metabolic disorder? Now, it's not to say
Yes.
that one creates the other per se, but you might have a metabolic disorder that creates this this physiological condition where you're obese, right? And then there's again hormones, right? Thyroid. Thyroid is tied to the thyroid gland is tied to your metabolism. So if you have hypothyroidism, right, you're not secreting the gland that's going to be necessary for the bodies to metabolize fat cells,
Which
especially if
is
you're
tyrosine.
exercising,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's also correct in that we need to take a holistic approach because
Oh, he froze.
Oh
And
no.
there he goes.
That was so good. That was so good. He was on point. He was getting there.
Yeah, metabolism.
Really good.
But you know what?
So,
JT is watching.
yeah.
You gonna make me call him TJ here in a second. I'm sorry, JT.
but
TJ.
I was
My boy
rolling.
is
You
watching.
was rolling,
He
man.
was rolling.
You was rolling, man. You can continue. I was gonna say,
Yeah, yeah.
can you back up just a little bit and explain what metabolism is? So everybody, I know a lot of people hear
Thank
metabolism a
you.
lot.
Explain, yeah, because my boy JT texting, but he ain't gonna call in. Stop it.
Right.
Go ahead.
So essentially, it's the economy of energy production, storage, and elimination. So what it looks like is it's your body's ability to break down your
Calorie.
macronutrients. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about your
Mm,
carbs, your proteins, we're talking about your fats, and converting that to energy. Right? It's transforming excess nitrogen into waste that goes into your urine. It's breaking down or converting chemicals into substances and transporting them to your mitochondrial cells, right? But essentially, it's about energy. It's breaking down energy, using energy, and storing energy, and getting rid of energy. So just think about it as your economy of energy, but at a biochemical level, right?
mm.
Um, and uh, so I know this is hotly debated, but metabolism is often linked to like genetic influences. Some are born with a high metabolism, right? So you might see some folks out there that can just eat, but they stay at 120, and they're at, I don't know, maybe like 5'7", 5'8". They're just naturally skinny, So we refer to high metabolism. And again, your thyroid has a relationship with your metabolism because of the hormones it secretes, so that your body breaks down, fat cells to use for energy to make it available for energy production. But that's pretty much my take on metabolism.
Mm, very good. You were hitting on something, and um, Corey also mentioned on something that I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to build up to that point. Build up to that point where we were talking about it. So, some things I love what you said, beloved, is we talked about. I think you did a great job of discerning BMI, and it's outdated. It's
Mm-hmm.
outdated, and be honest with you, they're still using it as a standard, despite years and years of scientific evidence that we should move to another determinative of what obesity is.
Mm-hmm.
Body composition is by far the best way because it actually involves fat. BMI does not even
Right.
talk about the fat. It talks about weight. And if we remember that your body weight is made up of lean body mass or fat free mass, right? It's made of body fat and also made of water. Those three things make up your weight. All right. So if we just talk about overall weight, then it's going to depend on what it is really is about where your weight is coming from. That's going to determine whether or not you're obese. Obesity is literally a overdevelopment or excess body fat. We talk and we got there's a level of obesity, and there's also uh, two, and there's level two and also level three. So level one, level two, and level three obesities. So first we get to being overweight and what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So their overweight is about a certain percentage of body fat. And the only way to talk about this, the only way to determine what that is you have to go through a body composition method, by a measuring method, right? So we have different ways of testing this. With calipers, one of the simplest and easiest, but also has an error margin between
Mm-hmm.
a plus or minus 9% error margin. That's going to be determined by the how well the expert who's ever using the calipers, they actually have to have some great skills. And even at their best skills, the calipers won't give you exactly what it is that you need, to know about that, so it's going to have a little error in there. So then you got the standard, though, is hydrostatic weighing,
Mm-hmm.
where they submerge you in water, and the buoyancy is going to displace, the body fat displaces water and stuff like that, and then they can actually tell what percentage of body fat you have on you, as far as that. So that's the standard. But one method that I use is a with a ultrasound device. I use an ultrasound wand,
Oh.
and that actually sees, just like an ultrasound device that you use to tell, to look at the health of a baby that's still in the womb. I use an ultrasound wand that actually can see from the skin all the way down to the bone. So we can actually determine how much fat is in between there. And we do about, on average, about anywhere from 4 to 7 sites. So we can get an accurate amount. So that to me is the most portable. It's the standard for portable type of measuring. And in fact, I was trying to see if I can't remember where I put it. Um, I know I had it somewhere.
Mm.
Oh, I can't find it. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys what I was talking about, but I have to find out where I put it. Um, so anyway, so this device actually can actually see the actual fat. It separates the fat from the muscle from the water, you know, and also from the bone itself. And we have other like so bio impedance analysis. So that's what you will find like on those scales that you can stand on that can read your body
Yeah.
fat, and those devices that you hold in your hand. Those are BIA fat testing methods. They have their drawbacks. So
Okay.
the thing about those particular ones is that you have to prepare 24 hours in advance. If you don't, um, so you cannot work out 24 hours in advance. So you have to rest the body and you have to be well hydrated by the time you take the BIA test. And if not, it's going to give you an error. And
Mm,
then on top of that, if you're on a scale, it sends an electrical signal up your legs, but that's not going to give you. So it's only doing a portion of it. The best one I've seen are the ones that you put the tabs on your body in different places that can actually read those. So if you're gonna do BIA, that's the most accurate or the most precise form of BIA testing that you can get. The ones where they put the tabs on you. You know. Um,
Mhm.
Secondly, there is a scale where you stand on and hold on to something as well. That so it goes both ways, but that still has a at least a 3% plus or minus 3% error margin. So what are we really looking for when we do this? What we're looking for is a separation or something that tells us how much body fat do we really have. So anytime we talk about losing weight, that's literally what we're talking about. Even without saying fat, we're saying we want to lose body fat.
yeah.
That's what we want to do, right? We're
Right.
trying to see how fat we truly are. We just forget we don't want to say that word because of the negative connotation on it, but we're
Yeah.
trying to see how fat we
I
really
mean,
are.
I can say it because I'm thicker than a cold bowl of oatmeal, so I can say it.
Thicker
Fat.
than the Snicker. That's all good. But the thing about it is that then what percentage of body fat and when we're talking about percentage, so when we look at your overall body weight, what percentage of that body weight comes from fat? So that's what we're talking about body fat percentage. What percentage? So basically, when we get for ladies, and it literally it's on a sliding scale because it allows you as you get older, they allow you to have more fat on your body, right? So yeah,
Mm,
absolutely, King. Um,
okay.
so we get as we get older, we're allowed to have a little bit more body fat. Okay, the percentage can change, can stay the same, but it can move. Just let's just say if you're a woman and you're at 30% body fat, that's going to put you in an overweight category. And but if you were a young woman, but as you get older and you stay at 30% body fat and you're 70 years old, you're no longer in that overweight category. You
Mhm.
see, for that age, you're actually and they because what it does is compensating for a metabolic decline, which happens after 30 years old. The metabolic rate starts to decrease about 10%. You know,
J Love said that your metabolism goes down, slows down as you get older.
it
She said it
slows
was
down.
easier for her to lose weight in her 20s, and now that she's in her late 30s, it's becoming a little, it's not as attainable.
Yeah,
No, yeah,
and
go ahead.
that's because the body is still actually developing until for the first 30 years of life. The body is still developing. So that's why. So you got this extra metabolic activity that's going on because the body is still developing. You don't stop developing in your teens. You stop developing at age 30, after age
Mm,
30. And
okay.
that so you have to spend that time while you youthful and vigorant and things like that and climb that mountain peak, make it high. You know what I'm saying? Get all the way up there, build up a nice high proficient metabolic rate. So that way after 30, you so high on that peak, it takes longer to come down. So then you can be healthy a lot longer, But for those who have been um sedentary in their younger years,
It
I'm gonna
matters.
answer that too.
It
Um,
matters.
I'm gonna answer that
It
too.
matters.
Um,
Go
but it's
ahead.
it's not official, but I'm gonna answer that.
It's
But for,
bigger.
for those who were sedentary in their younger years, uh, they're gonna after they turn 30, they have a more of a propensity to get to get experience obesity a lot quicker, like between ages 35 and 45. They're gonna see they can see an experiential amount of growth, body fat growth at that time. So because they don't have far to come down, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the lifestyle doesn't change, if you don't, and most people don't are not aware of that as your metabolic rate decreases, you also gotta reduce the amount of calories that you bring in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not active. So it's important to get active at that point. To avoid obesity. And let's just get this out of the way. So, so is there a different scale between white people and black people? And I'm going to say not officially, okay. But I would say, in my experience, yeah, okay.
Mm,
And the thing is that it's not about the amount of body fat, but the metabolism and things like that are different. The so it has a little bit of a difference, by the way, as black people, because we're denser in our muscle, like
Mm-hmm.
naturally just denser. um, and this is why naturally we actually have higher blood pressure readings. It's not
mm,
because we're more hypertensive, but that's just our makeup. So genetically we have just a different type of makeup. But that's a whole nother science, a whole nother subject to get into. But yeah, that itself has a lot to do with our metabolic rates, and also how much body fat we actually need for health reasons. So there's minimum amount, and we call that essential body fat. Okay, so we have to have there is essential body fat, but then the body fat for black people, the essential body fat for black people is at a higher percentage than it is for white people. So yes, the scale is different, and only because we need more of that. We need more of that brain health, because body fat as to brain health. Uh, we've seen that black women go into a condition called amenorrhea, which is a condition where the period stops. They're still in their childbearing age, still having their periods, but the period will stop once the body fat gets to a certain point, right? So we've seen it happen just under 15% body fat for black ladies. For white
Mm-hmm.
ladies, it happens 11% or less. You
mm.
see,
Okay.
so we need more. There's more essential body fat needed, in that area for us to be healthy. Because it's not a healthy thing if the body is not going through its cycles, that's not good health. So a black woman needs to stay above 15% body fat. A white woman can stay above 11%. So she can be thinner. That's why we have that. They ain't as thick as we are. It's just how it is. you know.
Okay.
But this is again stuff they don't want to talk about. Um, it's that stuff.
He throw the title in there.
Yeah,
He threw the title in there. That was beautiful. But yeah.
absolutely. So
Um.
yeah. So go ahead. I just wanted to preface that. Just wanted to make sure we understand BMI, body composition, and the importance of what we're
Mm-hmm.
looking
All right. Thank you.
at.
Corey Dunn says, as we get older, we don't move around as much as we did as children. More often, most adults find themselves sitting more than standing or walking. So we have to create an environment that allows us the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm glad you pointed that out because we talked about this backstage, but I just recently been promoted at work and I have an office now, which means I have a desk, which means I'm going to be sitting at this desk versus being a floor nurse and going from room to room. So I have to develop a routine that still allows for me to be active on the floor and
Hmm.
going to room to see my patients. Because being in that office, sitting in that chair, and all you doing is typing and writing and eating, that
Which, by
wastes
the
time.
way, right, to be clear now, we're always burning calories. Okay, let's be clear about that. I mean, you're
Okay,
always
yeah,
consuming calories right now. But yeah, yeah. To your point, yeah, you gotta get creative in order to.
you want to hit on that?
What in terms of?
No, brother,
Uh,
just hit a question
oh,
because that ties into it
oh,
Yeah,
what
we was
actually
gonna
causes.
we was gonna
Yeah,
get into the chronic. the chronic conditions that this causes and what is correlation. I just wanted to get the framework out of the way.
Oh yeah, food number
Yeah,
one.
food. Yeah,
The food that we're
the
eating.
obvious stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a snippet of a video, and it was because that's all we're running around. That's all that's going on now is what, a video less than a minute. But it was a man on there. He said the food that you don't want to eat is the food that you're seeing advertised.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa. He said everything that you see advertised, that's the food you need to stay away from. I was like, oh wow. So the food that we eat is what's
That's a good what? Yeah, that's a nice metric. Yeah, that's yeah.
is what's increasing.
Yeah, they made
I mean, unless they start making broccoli commercials or asparagus commercials, which we don't see, right?
Corey's on. If you don't stop texting and hit this phone line, he's all in the comment section. I need for you to call in, brother.
Yeah, Corey. So Corey, I love that. So a calorie is a unit of measurement that raises your body heat 1 degree Celsius. So that's what it
Mm,
is, and it's properly called a kilocalorie, not a calorie,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's a kilocalorie.
Mhm.
So yeah, so you're so
that
you're so
work.
you're completely right about that. I'm glad you recognize that. Corey is on point though. But
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, so he's at work, but
Correct.
you got to make sure that you give us grace us with your voice at some point, beloved.
Mhm.
Yes, Corey is always on point. I will say that, and he is a devoted watcher. I love it. I don't know what word I should use, but yeah, he's devoted. He watches
Hmm.
us every week. He comments every week, and I appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe and share to all of our social media platforms,
That's right.
please. But go ahead, Dion, I'm listening.
Where was I?
Uh,
We were talking about
ooh,
the
support.
support.
Oh, supporter.
Yeah.
Thank you. My brother always. I'm not above being corrected. I am not above being corrected, baby. I'm
Yeah.
not. He viewer support. Look, they both just checked me.
All that. We
I
love
mean, just
It wasn't a check. It was a I was being
suggestion. It
corrected.
was a suggestion. Suggestion.
it.
Viewer, thank you.
Suggestion.
He's a faithful viewer.
Yeah. I say.
That
Yes.
that was perfect. See,
I say. So
I
yeah. So now if we start to look at like you say food.
yes.
Food is one of the obvious things.
Oh
But
yeah.
remember what we talked about before, how by the time we get to the point to where it's an external issue like food or exercise or something like that, that's part of the effect. Remember, so there's some things that happen that leads up to what we eat becoming a problem. The
Okay.
problem didn't start with the food. The problem didn't start with lack of exercise.
Mm,
That's not where the problem started. So there are certain things that we have to look at in order to determine where to fully understand obesity and how to avoid it. And
okay.
I can tell you that when you talked about earlier when it was linked to all those different chronic health problems,
Yeah.
this is why you shouldn't take it lightly. But I also understand that it is directly linked to depression. And when there's depression that's involved, then you're less likely to do anything about it
You're less likely to do anything at all
at
when you're
all at
depressed.
that point, right? So
Yeah.
love it. Um, so we have to look at the fact that depression becomes the cause. Okay, and the effect is now you have to watch what you eat.
Right.
Because in between eating and the onset of depression, and even that stuff is an effect, right? Is depression itself has a cause. So
Right.
but now so we're looking at a chain reaction happening here, right? So then even between depression and eating, there are certain things that have to take place. We have to understand that is leading up to these things because we're talking about again hormone distribution. What hormone actually causes, and we talked about this last time, that causes fat storage. There's an actual hormone that causes fat storage. And it's
Oh
the same
wow.
one we talked about last time, cortisol.
Mm.
Okay, we talked about that. Depression actually increases cortisol levels.
Mm.
It actually does. So when we talk about that now, but at the same time, then what leads to the eating part of it? Now we're talking about emotional attachment. The
Ooh.
thing that actually leads us to eating and overeating is going to be seeking of comfort. And who wasn't made to feel comfortable in their childhood with some sort of treat?
Dopamine.
Cream,
Ice cream. It's mostly sugary
cookies,
stuff. They don't throw you peanuts when you ain't feeling so
soda,
good, when you
Mm.
when they
freeze
dusting you off.
pop. Yeah.
So you see, so the major contributor to obesity is always psychological.
Mm.
It's psychological first. So, and this goes back to what we're saying: conscious rules all. Consciousness rules all.
Mm.
So we have to remember that when it traces back, so we can let's just say if you have this problem that led to your depression, and then secondarily it led to obesity, and let's just say you started doing all the stuff you need to do. You started exercising, changing your diet and things like that, and you acquire some results from that. How lasting is that going to be? You're gonna burn yourself out before you take away the problem of obesity. And I ain't saying that you won't lose the weight and get below an obese level, but that obesity is still right there and is at your front door being a threat because you have not taken care of the true cause of it. So as
Right.
soon as you stop exercising and eating right, then that obesity is going to be back in your living room in the very next second. All right. So this is what we have to realize. It becomes a psychological issue.
Mhm.
Mm.
All right. So that's what it is mostly. All right. So we have to take this in consideration. Most people, and I know John can actually attest to this too. Um, Most people that I've dealt with concerning obesity that I've trained, and there was some the successes were hit and miss. Dang it, John dropped off again.
He'll be back.
We're gonna have to put in for him some good internet or something over there.
He's got a storm coming through
It's
where
a
he's at.
storm.
It's a
Oh,
storm
okay.
coming through where he's at right now. Yeah,
Okay.
he's got a storm coming through.
All right.
It's okay, John. We
All right.
still love you, brother.
Yeah, I'm talking to this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, but you can attest to this though, John. So when we're dealing with with clients that are dealing with obesity, they want to get down, they want to lose weight, and so forth. The
They want to lose
hardest
the
thing
weight
is
they
to get them
need.
to adhere to a program. That's always the hardest thing, is to get them to adhere to the program. Because if they did it, then we know they would get some results. But the hardest thing is to get through those mental blocks. So we know that they're in a state of depression at that point, and because of that, only in the session are they doing something. It's not like people see us 5 days,
Ooh.
right? that,
Corey is
that, that could be expensive.
woo.
That could be
Corey.
expensive. I think the most I've had only a couple clients see me 5 days a week in my career.
Mm. Mhm.
But mostly we say on the average about 3 times a week.
Yep. Yep.
About 3 times a week on average. But
Mhm.
that's 3 hours out of the entire week that they're moving.
Yep.
Okay, only 3 hours.
John
Go
said
ahead.
something earlier this week. He said 1 hour is what 4% of your day.
1 hour is 4%.
Yep,
It's
It
4%.
4% of
mhm.
your day, of your 24 hours.
Of your waking. Are we talking about your? Oh,
Your
you talking
wake
about your of your
24 hours.
entire day? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, and
4%.
4%. Whew. And Corey Dunn over here just dropping them, man. The hardest is commitment. It is.
Yeah.
You
Hardest
know,
is commitment.
I've started and stopped, started and stopped, started. John
Mm.
will tell you we've been friends for 5 years.
Man, yep.
I
Yep.
started and stopped. Once I get started, it seemed like once I come up on that 3 month mark, something happens and I fall flat.
Hmm.
Once
Mm.
I hit 3 months, and when I'm dedicated, I'm dedicated. But when I stop, I fall off the wagon with no intentions on getting back up. Work out, probably I'll miss a whole week, then go the next one day, and then stop for 2 weeks. The commitment part is hard for me. I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie.
Hmm.
When I'm going though.
There are some things that we can
Woo.
do to deal with that commitment issue.
Hmm.
Uh, number one on something like that is just like anything else. You never go at it alone. Okay, that's
Oh,
you don't
oh,
go at it alone. And
I
I'm not
never.
talking about
Hmm.
just with your professional, not just with your trainer, but a
Okay.
good trainer will also set you up a support system outside of himself. You know, I always talk to family members, household members, friends, and involve them in on it as well. You know, so
Okay.
because that and now that's been key. I've garnered more success this way because at this time it is more likely becoming a lifestyle
Hmm.
rather than something you're just doing for a set amount of time. It
Right.
needs to transfer into a lifestyle. So,
So then
Lifelong too.
mhm,
you
Lifelong
would
lifestyle.
then you would need to change your approach. You would it wouldn't be a diet, it would be a lifestyle change.
that's right.
A diet is something that people do. Oh, I need to go on a diet real quick to lose 10 or 20 pounds for a particular date. But a lifestyle change is meaning that you're going to start shopping for healthier foods. You're not going to be eating out as much. You're going to get that hour in starting off 2 to 3 days a week. Slowly build yourself up to it. So yeah, you're going to be making conscious decisions all the time when you approach it as a lifestyle change
Hmm.
versus diet.
It'll be conscious at first, and
Yeah,
the machinery. Because once you set everything in place, your programming, how you shop, how you eat,
right.
when you sleep,
Yes.
right? How you manage. Once you set, those are systems that you're setting in place. Hence your lifestyle. So after that, it's autopilot after that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But every now and then you might have to be conscious about because you might discover. Let's just say, for example, if you were shopping for a particular brand of I don't know broccoli, you and then you found out that they modified it or something, or you were eating this
Like
particular.
Green Giant,
Oh, what?
like Green Giant.
Oh yeah.
Don't be eating
So
that Green Giant stuff, please.
so the idea is, yeah, you want it to be somewhat automatic, but you also want to
Yeah.
be mindful, right? So every now
Absolutely.
and then in anything in life. Every now and then, if it's the machine in operation, you want to kind of revisit and be like, okay, let me make sure everything's good, everything's
Mm,
still healthy for me. Let me verify because something might have changed, and I'm just trusting and not questioning. I'm not
yeah.
validating. I'm not verifying. Hey, is this workout actually do what it's supposed to do for me?
Right.
Right?
Because your body will
Working.
become adjusted and you will need to change up your routine.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And oh,
Yeah,
how,
that's what we're getting into. Yeah, this
how are we
is
gonna flow that in there? Because you know that I mean I could take the lead on that one. That could have
yeah.
been
This is all part of that because when we talk about the issue of the mental part, remember when we talking about attachment to certain foods for comfort reasons, and we talk about the depression, we talk about all that stuff. That's all the part, the mental part of it all, right? And so,
yeah,
but also in what you were just saying, Queen. I'm sorry, Goddess, if I can call you that. Um,
thank you. Yes, indeed.
the thing is that what we have to realize is that even to do what you were just talking about,
Hmm.
uh, that still that's still the mentality of it all is developing a whole new relationship with food. A whole so
Yes.
you have to now redirect your comfort, find comfort in the natural holistic foods rather than the sugary ones that actually lead to obesity and things like that.
Right.
So that's the other mentality of it. And that's easier said than done. That's the same process as a drug addict would have to go through.
Oof.
Do you understand that? We're talking about AA, okay, or
Right.
NN, nutritional anonymous, or
Right.
whatever they want to call it.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I see what he did there.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
How
but
did
this but this is what we're talking about. And then see there they have a whole support system. You
mm,
know, they have a whole support system. So
yes, they do.
this is the magnitude of what that takes. Because what you're
Mm,
overcoming is a mental issue, not
yeah,
a food problem. It's a mental problem.
yeah, yeah.
That makes
Mm,
sense.
mm. Yeah, it does.
Yes. J
I
Love say
need
I need
a
AA for hot wings.
I love my ice cream. I'm very fond of pistachio
mm.
ice cream. It's my go-to when I'm feeling a little off, a little sad,
Which one? What do you go to?
Pistachio ice cream.
Ooh.
Yes. It's really good. You got to try it. It's really
Hmm.
good. Okay, what he's throwing out all these questions.
Yeah, I,
He's not
I see what
saying
you're doing.
anything.
I see
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
He's not
Real
saying anything.
quick, I would
Yeah, we're
tell
gonna get around to all
since
of that.
since we're kind of on the topic of addiction, anyways, I think that is
Yeah.
another influence to this as well.
What's
It's
that?
interesting that American medicine.
And there he was.
Blessings to you too, brother Morbe. I hope you enjoyed that stat I wrote earlier for about good men. I was talking about you. Thank you for being in my ear, brother. I appreciate it. That's okay. Go ahead.
Try it again, John. Try it
Yeah.
again. Bro.
Okay. So, holistic approach. Um,
Okay.
stress eating, emotional eating. We talked about food addiction. Like we're kind of skirting around that, right?
I
And
do
it's
that.
interesting because Americans treat this like it's a self-control issue, right? But then when you look at drug addiction and alcohol addiction, it's treated as a medical issue, right? So you can't treat it as a self-control issue primarily because there's other factors that are uncontrollable, right? So if we look at food addiction as something that's real, we're also saying that food researchers have developed these chemical tricks to make the food more palatable in processed foods, right? And in fact, it's heavily documented that neurotransmitters are associated with drug addiction in the same way that it is with food, right? So we're talking about dopamine. Dopamine is that reward
Mm,
system, right? So, and Sabah Diamond had mentioned this before that our emotions are biochemical processes in the brain and the body, right? So not only have our brains been hijacked, I guess you could say, by the food industry, right? But we have gut bacteria that influence our eatings and our eating behaviors. Now, I want to make a distinction here. Cravings are not the same thing as hunger.
mm,
Cravings are not the same thing as hunger.
Hmm.
When you're hungry, you will almost eat anything, right? When you're craving something, that is not about hunger, right?
mm.
A lot
Right.
of the times, a lot of the times, there's gut bacteria, and it just depends on your gut microbiome. There are collections of gut microbes that are communicating to your brain and telling you what it wants. It's hijacking your brain. There's several studies out there that point to the gut being the second brain, right? They
Mm.
talk about
Yes.
how, yeah, instincts and all that, right? But I've seen some research papers out there saying that gut microbes tend to manipulate our eating behaviors in ways that promote their fitness and their survival, right?
Yeah.
And even our gut microbiome can influence our mood as well, right? There tends to be like diverse populations of um, gut microbes that compete for nutrients that we consume, right? And of course, some of these gut microbes are like instrumental to our digestive process, right? But we can imagine that a lack of gut flora implies less competition, right? And it may have a larger influence on your brain, including your mood, right? So I want to clarify something here also. Food addiction is not an official diagnostic in the DSM-5. You're not gonna open it up and find food addiction in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
but but we're really talking about binge eating behaviors, cravings, and a lack of control that's on food. So again, like I was saying, cravings and hunger. Um, there's eating until the eating until you're unnecessarily stuffed, right?
I'm with
So
this.
the stomach or the intestines typically signals to the brain satiety. But for individuals with food addiction, there could be a dysfunction there. Um, then there's the eating. It's like you're eating more than what you intended to eat. Now, I heard this saying going around, anything in moderation. There's just some things you shouldn't have at all, right? You couldn't tell a recovering alcoholic everything in moderation, including
Right.
alcohol. So if you can't tell that to them or a drug addict, could you tell that to a food addict? No, you can't do that, right? Then there's the feeling guilty after eating too much, or when you're eating something unhealthy, right? There's making up excuses for your indulgences. There's breaking your own rules. You develop these rules around eating, right, to kind of protect yourself. And then there's hiding junk food from other people. So you got the cookies in your drawer on your nightstand. You got the chips under your pillow or whatever, right? You're hiding food, right? But as Sabadiana was saying, these are psychologically based, and we operate according to our habits and our thought patterns. And if you are not conscious changing these thought patterns, they're going to run you, right? Um, I'm going to pinch that off right there, but I was really trying to open that up so that we could talk more about the mental aspect, because it's not just purely physiological. What are your
Mm.
eating behaviors and what influences those eating behaviors? It really is sort of like a therapy session. In the beginning, Sabadian was saying that it's more of a holistic approach. There has to be like a mental health aspect of this as well, just as much as there's um, a dietary, nutritional, fitness aspect. Sleep hygiene and stress management. It's multidimensional. So yeah, there is a mental health element to this.
Absolutely. And John, maybe you can concur with this. I feel like when I train athletes, I'm actually training athletes. There's a training aspect to it. I can go hard on the training with them. But when it comes to the mundane folks, when it comes to weight loss and stuff like that, I'm more a coach them. It's more of a coaching than a training, because you're leading them to a healthier mindset. You're coaching them to a healthier mindset. Then you got to be very strategic. And what I do in my methods is I have them focus on one behavioral change every 30 days. So
Mhm.
just no matter how minute it may seem, but it makes a big impact on how they are from one month to the next, and don't overwhelm them. So it could be first stop sitting down, you know, uh, right after, all day long. That could be a behavior change. Even before you work on diet and stuff like that, it could be just to try to get them to move a little bit more. So
Food.
increase energy output, energy expenditure, you
Mhm.
know. So that itself, that you can see results just from that itself, even without them changing how much food they're bringing in. You know, so then so then eventually, then we begin to start to work on the food, because that's always going to be the hard part. But to getting them into the program this way, that it secures adherence. It secures that. So then one behavior change at a time. That way, it's not overwhelming for them, and it's
Yeah.
not too hard right up front. They don't quit, because I can tell you, people will come that first week and won't come back.
Hmm.
Even if they drop
Yeah.
thousands of dollars, they will not come back.
Don't
Yeah.
go too hard.
Right? Don't go
Don't
too hard. Ease it in
don't. I know this for a fact. I have went at it too hard and then fell flat. Like,
there. Yeah,
like oh,
you
that
don't
was
want to do that. It's a journey, not a race.
Hmm.
It's a journey, and that's something you have to make sure that you understand when you're embarking upon this. And again, when we're talking about and we're talking to still, even if you're dealing with obesity, you're still a healthy person, meaning that you can change some things just by changing some behaviors.
mm,
Okay. Now there are some people who are not that healthy, who no matter what they do, they cannot they can't affect their thing in that kind of way. Now, and it has a lot to do with genetics, uh, hormone irregulation, and that has a lot to do too with the environment. Sometimes we don't see where it's coming from. There are actually, when we're dealing with genetically modified organisms in our food. When we're dealing with chemicals and things like that in our food. I know
yeah.
I know people who are going hard on keto, on a keto diet, and still
Hmm.
can't lose the weight.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. I don't know what that is. I've
Huh?
seen it. I've heard it.
What?
I've heard
Really?
people talk about it. Keto.
So
Just
keto
I just
is,
I just figured it was another fad.
well, it kind of is, but there was a time when, to get into ketogenesis, you had to be guided by a doctor. That was only under the supervision of a physician. But
Okay.
now it has become a fad. Then we had the Atkins diet. I remember when that
Mm.
first came out, and I was really into training just athletes at that time. And so one thing in athletic training, we were big on making sure they're getting in their carbohydrates, because athletes
Mm,
they chew up calories like nothing, right? So they're
right.
moving through a lot. Look at Michael Phelps. Remember, his diet, his caloric intake requirement was about 10,000 calories a day. You have to understand, that's much.
Yes. I
That's
remember that.
five
Yes.
times the average person. Okay, because of his level of training, because of the energy
Yeah.
that he expended all day, and that's just Michael Phelps. We ain't talking about these guys on the football field training 8 hours a day, or also on the basketball court. These high cardiovascular demanding type of sports. So they have to get in their carbohydrates, in order to facilitate their energy expenditure. The body at that level have to be able to access energy quickly
Yeah.
and turn it over. So
Yeah.
get those carbohydrates, quickly turn them into adenosine triphosphate inside the mitochondria in each cell. So it needs to be able to turn it over really, really quick, and they can only do that with carbohydrates. Anything else, it won't be able to. So when this Atkins diet came out, and there's the very first part of the Atkins diet is called the induction or fat induction phase. It's about a 2-week process, 14 days, to where you minimize carbohydrates. You're only taking in only about 20 grams of carbohydrates total per day, which is low from like of 300 grams. You're taking it all the way down to only 20 grams a day. The average person takes in about 260 grams of carbohydrates a day, right? So on this particular thing, you're taking in only that much, but you're eating your share of fat and protein. So now what you're doing is changing your body's energy system. So we got energy
Mm.
from carbohydrates, we got energy that comes from protein, energy that comes from fat. We do not want our energy coming from protein. That leads to muscle. What was the word? Help me out here.
Hypertrophy?
Atrophy. Thank you.
Muscle.
Muscle atrophy. Yeah, because your muscles are made of amino acids, protein. So
Facts. Okay.
if your body doesn't have anything else available,
It's
it's
gonna
going to
go.
start eating up at your muscles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is that we don't want that, because if you're eating up amino acids, then you're going to compromise your immune system, because all your antibodies are made of amino acids. Those are proteins. Your hormones are made of proteins. You know, so the only thing you can do to start utilizing stored fat is to turn your body into a fat burning machine. So start training to utilize fat for energy. So this is what the keto diet does. So they take in a great amount of fat. Now with the Atkins diet, it's just an increase in fat and protein, but he really did it just by decreasing the amount of carbohydrates you take in. Not that you have to take in any more fat or protein, just decrease the carbohydrates and make up the rest of your calories in fat and protein, right? And it was very effective. I've seen people lose weight quickly, get into ketogenesis, and they're burning. So they measure it by ketones, because when your body starts to burn fat, then it produces ketones. So there's a measuring. You can get a keto measuring device. Go to your pharmacy, get those keto sticks. You pee on them, and the darker purple they are, the more ketones you're producing. All right. So the pad can go from white to all the way dark purple. So that's one of the things that you want to do when you're testing this, to make sure you're burning fat. But the thing about it is that with the keto diet, and minus the Atkins induction diet, but the keto diet promoted unhealthy fat intake. Now, most of the people who started that stuff 2 to 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of them have high cholesterol problems. So there's other things that come into play, because there's more than just saturated fat. You don't take in a lot of saturated fat. He was promoting butter. He was promoting bacon fat. What do you call it? Fried cheese. Dude, don't do that. Please don't do that. All right. There are other ways that you can get this in and be very effective. Okay. So the thing is that but that's basically what the keto diet is promoting more fat and protein into your diet, and not so much carbohydrates. And I think their carbohydrate dip off is still lower than the Atkins.
Mm-hmm.
It was lower than the
Wait a
Atkins.
minute. Corey Dunn said there's more fat in keto, which raises cholesterol.
That's right. And that's what I was saying. Like it's too much. It's too much fat. Too much. In fact, it's not a promotion of healthy fats, because remember, all fat is the same. Like all
Right.
Or what is
carbohydrates ain't
known
the
as
same.
LDL. What you know about that, Corey? What you know about that, Corey?
So
You
HDL,
stumbling into my
LDL,
world now.
low density lipoprotein and high density lipoprotein. So those are your cholesterol. But of course, it's the HDL that we actually want. That's good. That's the good protein. The LDL is the bad. I'm sorry, not protein, but cholesterol. Okay. And I see John just dropped off again, but it's all good. Uh, the prodigal turn.
It's,
The
it's a
son, here we go.
storm through with you.
Let's see.
That storm that came through and passed. What's
Hmm.
going on, brother?
Yeah,
What's
it's
Okay.
still
going
storming.
So
on?
okay. So I just want to change the direction of things just for a hot
Okay.
little second, real
Yeah,
quick.
help it.
Um. So
Thank you, Corey.
real quick, can we get a small, brief understanding of what John you specialize in that deals with obesity, brother Diamond, what you deal with as far as your professionalism dealing with obesity, and then God level likewise. Now, here's the question that I pose to each one of you individual. Can you please point out through your expertise and your wisdom the mental health downside of this when you go from one day seeing yourself look like this, and then all of a sudden you appear obese, and this before you go to the doctor. You're seeing your physical change so dramatic you don't recognize yourself, and a spiral downfall from there.
Mm. The mental health aspect of it. I mean, well, first off, John is a certified personal trainer, NASM certified, and I'm trying to adorn saying, the coaching aspect for those um, who are not athletes. That's pretty much what I deal with. I deal with normal individuals who deal with obesity. A lot of the times when people come to me about their fitness goals and their fitness problems, the majority of them are seeking to lose weight, but they're coming at different stages of their life. Some are coming to me when they've gone to the doctor and the doctor is saying, you have to make a change. You have to turn it around. Those are the ones that are like, they're highly motivated, but they just don't know what to do. And then you have those who have been, they're in their early 30s and they just like, man, I had a couple of kids, or I just woke up and I just realized I'm here. Right? However, there's something to consider in that. It's almost as if they've been asleep for the past 7 or 8 years because it's gradual, right? It's gradual. So it's not that they actually woke up, walked in the mirror, and said, "Oh, I'm heavy." No, that voice is talking to them, always saying, "All right, you putting on a little bit of weight. Uh-oh, what is that?" And you're just, you're ignoring that voice. Like, I'll get to it later. There's so many different things that are happening. That self-talk is very difficult to pinpoint because it's different for everyone. Sometimes it's you hear the voice, you ignore it, or you hear the voice and you feed into it, but then you have a feeling about that voice. You develop depression or maybe anger, right, towards that voice. And so you're trying to, shut it out, but there's just so many ways, so many different directions that self-talk goes to. But I just want to clarify, it's not that this year you were slim, and by the end of the year you're like this, and it's like, what happened? No, you were there for the whole thing. It's just that you kept procrastinating and pushing it off. Or when you try to do something, because some people do try, right? They're like, you know what, I'm going to get out here and do it. What ends up happening is the commitment, the discipline is lacking. There's no structure. They don't know what they're doing. So they'll get started for like maybe a few weeks or so, and then life will hit them in the face, or they'll just say, you know what, man, this is too much. I'm going to come back to it later. So you get those clients too. It's not one particular way. It's not just you woke up and you arrived at this. In some semblance, they were asleep, and you get a wake up call. It's usually something pretty traumatic, or somebody who you trust coming to you and letting you know, all right, you need to do something, and it needs to happen immediately. And you're like, okay, so that's my spell.
I say.
I say.
Can you restate the question also, King?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I'm asking you from each one of your fields of expertise, if you can break down that and then explain the mental side of things, how people can downward spiral when they go from looking like, I feel like, hey, I'm doing good, even though I sneak a cookie in here and there, or last week I did do 2 steaks, but I didn't do no exercise as well. But then when I actually see myself fully in the mirror, it's like a culture shock. Like
Mm.
it adds on to the other things that I'm already dealing with. Now that I look and I see myself, like I feel like I, I've lost me. Like, how did I get here? Like John just stated, at the beginning of the year, it may have been every bit of 145. By the end of the year, you 260 or something like that. And even though you was there along the whole entire process, but you never took time out to understand the stresses of life that you was dealing with, different problems that you were facing, and the whole time you was using eating as a substitute, and you just kept going down, down, down. Then after you see yourself in the mirror, you like, what the? And you just go down further from that. So that's what I'm asking. I'm asking from a mental side
Okay.
of things, how these things come about. And John, I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. That was a very good breakdown, bro. I appreciate that.
Okay. You want me to take this? Okay.
Well, it's for both of y'all. So
Okay,
John
I'm
already
sorry.
went.
All right. Set up, he really play a role. By the time you said from a professional standpoint, as a nurse, the patients that I take care of, as far as the mental standpoint, by the time they get to me, they're just trying to make it day by day.
Mm.
That we're talking about 70, 80, 90 years old. They're just trying to make it day by day. Um, and some wish that they could have done it different back when they were able. And a lot just say, this is just what it is for me right now. And I have noticed that a lot of my patients are on antidepressants.
Mm, mm,
I would say at least 90% is on some type of antidepressant, dealing with where they're at. And these people are alert and oriented, um, and up in age to where just being able to stand up is a fight. So
Hmm.
I critically, some just want to make it day by day. That's it,
So let
and
me
that's
ask you, with them taking,
that's good enough for them. Go ahead.
with them taking antidepressants,
Hmm.
does that help, or does that like basically like sugarcoat the whole situation,
It
which
basically
they just
sugarcoats the whole
okay.
situation because we should talk about this. A lot of the people that I take care of, or now I'm on a critical floor, but prior to long term, um, families have, excuse me for saying this, but it's the truth. And I know a lot of people out there that work in healthcare, especially in nursing homes, are going to agree with me when I say this statement. But families end up dropping them off and leaving them behind. And that is what's causing the severe depression. They're
Uh,
they're waking up in a place where they don't know, surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and we, the staff, actually become their family.
mhm,
And sometimes, and they deal with that, well, where's my son, where's my daughter, you know and everyone seems to be living pretty far from one another, different states over here, different states over there. So a lot of these people, when they come in, that shock of actually being in a facility, a nursing facility, is a lot for them to handle mentally by themselves, because they don't have that family support. If they have that family support, 9 times out of 10, they are not on any type of antidepressants. If the family is very much involved in their life, if they're coming to pick them up once a week, if they're making those phone calls, stopping by, checking on them, they're not on any type of antidepressants. They know that they're in a place where they need a lot of help, and that their families can't do it for them right now. But those that get dropped off and they don't see their family until it's um, Mother's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and those are the top three holidays of the year where we would actually see family come in and visit their loved ones. So, of course, they're on antidepressants.
Mm.
Just,
With what you just said though, Corey pointed out, John spoke on it, and then brother Diamond, he broke it down uh, very extensively. It's very, very, very important in these stages that you have some type of support system externally. Like you need to be held not
you
just
have to have that
accountable, but
support
also
system.
motivated as well. And just like you're saying, just being around positive entities and those that care about you and love you, it does inspire you to like, let me go a little bit harder. Let me try to switch it up a little bit.
I need to hit on that too, what Corey just said. Go ahead.
On which one? Corey then left about
Oh,
seven of them.
I know the last two.
yeah,
The last two, I stated earlier.
rain
Some
gems.
people,
Yep.
yeah, it's raining gems. Some people eat based on emotions. I am guilty of that. Some eat out of comfort. I am. Okay, J Love, hold on, because I was trying to read what Corey just wrote. Some eat with the mindset that it will take away their pain. I'm for one that does that. Thinks back to what I've said about sugar being more addictive than heroin. I came home and ate me a thing of ice cream yesterday. So yeah, usually most people with these mental blocks don't realize they have a problem until they've gotten far down the rabbit hole. Yeah, we don't. Notice how I said we, because I'm very transparent about what goes on with me. My brothers know, and I appreciate that where I'm at right now, I have a stronger support system than I did when I was in Houston. And I appreciate you all for that. I love you all for that. Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, left is brother Diamond, but before that, J Love said, "You can do all things through Christ Jesus that gives you strength. Fall in love with fitness. Research healthy foods and how they your body and health. Well, I guess healthy foods and how it affects your bodies and your health. Become obsessed with yourself.
Yourself.
Before I started my journey, I bought a body mirror and 300 pounds. Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Respect,
yeah, yeah,
respect.
yeah.
Today I'm 203. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Big time.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Congratulations.
girl.
Yeah, that's motivation. Find your
Right
motivation
You
and
there.
then
weigh,
Yes,
you
turn
weigh
it
less than me.
it.
is.
Down to 203.
Yeah.
I ain't
Find
telling
your
nobody how much I weigh. I
find your
ain't.
motivation, then turn it into consistent discipline.
There
Support
you
will
go.
come along the way, but it starts within you. No pills,
No
no
pills,
surgery,
no
all
surgery.
natural weight loss.
Go,
Salute,
girl.
Queen. Salute, salute,
Salute,
salute.
honey.
Yeah,
Salute.
that's all
That's
peace.
that
That's a
Congratulations.
love.
beautiful story. That's a
Man,
Congratulations.
beautiful story. Yeah,
beautiful.
that's a
You
beautiful
just
story.
encouraged, if someone is watching this show right now and they read that comment, baby, you just encouraged them.
I
Mm,
say.
I'm
Yeah, that's
inspired.
peace. That's peace.
I got to
That's
find me
peace.
a park tomorrow. I am inspired. Thank you, girl.
I say. Yes. Well, I'm Diamin, of course, and being in this profession for nearly 30 years as a degreed exercise physiologist, neuro, and also an orthomolecular nutritionist, and certified by the three major agencies: the American Council on Exercise, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, the American College of Sports Medicine, as well as the National Federation for Personal Trainers. So I've had certifications in all of those. Stuck with the American College of Sports Medicine because they went a little bit deeper. They set the standard. So I got all the way up to a advanced level trainer and clinical nutritionist in that school of thought. And so I still read the journal, American Journal on Exercise and health and things like that. I'm always looking at medical journals. I am a fan. I'm a big fan of the human body.
Mm,
Big fan of it. It is. I can't find anything in creation that rivals it. The human body is much different than that of even the animal bodies, because we go through a different chemical process. I don't know if y'all have ever smelt a dead human body versus a dead animal body. The human body will send you running. Okay, it'll send you running, and it's because of all the different chemicals that are involved
yeah.
there in it. And we are much more complex than any other animal on the planet. And so the thing about it is the processes that goes on within the human body cannot be matched with any technological advances. We can only try to mimic portions of it. All right. Um, Welcome back, John. Um, so I'm gonna pick on you. You going in and out. Um, but but to
Well,
answer
well,
King's question, because it was a good question, is when you see yourself, you start doing things, then you see yourself in the mirror, there's this big realization, and your response is you keep going down, 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 down in response to what you see. You don't like what you see, and so you get drawn deeper and deeper into a depressive state. You
yeah.
know, look, I'm gonna have to play off our title here, our subtitle. things that people
Okay.
don't want to talk about. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. You have to use your ability to choose and choose differently.
Yes.
You have to choose differently. You're not going to be able and this literally comes from, first of all, the making a choice of, well, any kind of choice takes an agreement with yourself. So if you haven't made an agreement with yourself, then
Mm.
that itself is going to deter you off that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be flying by the seat of your pants, hoping that something will happen when you haven't
Ooh.
changed anything. Is that not the very definition of insanity?
Mhm.
Okay, it's insanity to think that things will change when you haven't done anything to change them. All right.
Facts.
So
Facts.
you have to really bring yourself to make these changes. And I can tell you, I don't care how much support you have, no matter what, and how good quality that support is, the changes don't happen until you make them.
Mhm.
Period. They're not
Bars.
going to happen until you make them. You know, so
Facts.
so let's just get that out of the way. Ain't none of this gonna fall in your lap. You still got work to do. And if you ain't doing the work, you ain't gonna get the results.
Yep.
That's just
Bars.
that's
Oh,
bottom
That's true. That
it's
is
that
true.
simple. That's
that's
that
bottom
simple.
line.
There, my brother sent me a video today with Steve Harvey, and he said a statement: "Fear don't stop death; it stops life. Don't be afraid. Go
That's
forward."
right.
Mm. Bars.
You know,
I love it.
my
Bars.
brother been on it all
I love
week.
it.
Bars.
Mm, I just
So
love
these are
you.
the things we must realize, because what ends up happening is, and this is part of the plight of the ego. A lot of
Mm.
people, a lot of people try to seek, they become a victim of themselves. So now the ego is identified as a victim, even in its own. So now it's
Oh.
easy to sit out here and talk about, what the masses is promoting to you, and so you still got a choice. You still got a choice.
Facts.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Facts.
saying you need to exercise your God given right to choose, and choose
Mhm.
properly
Mm.
according to your
Mm.
own health.
Mm.
Nobody else is responsible for your health but you,
Mm.
period. So I don't care if people put, banana pudding in front of your face. And I said that because that's my vice. But they put that in front of your face. I'm glad that's why I'm glad I'm not in the South anymore. I think I finally had some banana pudding a few weeks ago, but it's been the first I've had in 10 years. But
Whoa.
Oh,
yeah, because I had to get out of the South where it's
Bro.
so abundant. It's abundant. I can go to anybody's house and banana pudding's in the refrigerator. Can't have
ooh.
that happen.
Mm.
but finally somebody made some, and I partook. Okay, I partook. But the thing about it is, you can make the choice not to do that based on what you know is good for yourself, what's healthy and what's not healthy. Exercise your right, your own divine right
Mhm.
to choose. And I know, in order to choose, you have to be able to exercise and express your superpower, which is free will. You have
Mm.
to be able to do that. That means acting without the influence of emotion. Because when you do, now your choice is going to go the other way.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
You understand? So no matter what, emotional choices are never ever a good thing. Never a good thing. All right. So you gotta stay out of that light. Empower yourself always. Always. If you have a support system, utilize it, tap into it. Say, listen, yeah, I saw this commercial for these wings. They kind of calling me because my credit card is full right now. I can actually go and purchase some, and they deliver. Talk me out of it. No matter what, that's still a choice. You
Yeah.
can still
Yeah.
choose to be talked out of it. Put yourself in position to be talked out of it. Reach out for that help. That's still a choice you're making. So no matter what. So at the end of the day, you orchestrate your own reality. Everything that is happening to you is based on your choices and your mindset and what you know about yourself. Exercise your rights to be in power always.
Mhm.
All right. So
I say. I say. I say.
this is the only antidote to mental illness that leads to these kind of things. The only antidote. So these are the things that I have to do. You really have to go drill sergeant on some folks,
Yeah.
and and let them know, listen,
I
I'm not
may
here.
need I may
I'm not
need
here
that
to,
type
to,
of
to
help.
powder you. I'm here to get you out of this mess. And I know the only way
Facts.
I'm gonna have to just tell you just raw truth. Those things you don't want to hear. That's what we're gonna have to talk about. Okay. So anyway,
Facts.
I'll leave it at that, and so we can just move on. But thank you. That's a very good question, there, King.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you, John. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Doctor. I'm finna say Doctor. Thank you for Diamond. Thank you for God Level. God Level, you had something you want to say real quick before we switch it over to
Um,
John?
yes, I wrote a post earlier because there's a myth floating around that good men do not exist.
Uh-oh.
And I'm here
Uh-oh.
to tell you that they do. I have some damn good brothers in my corner, and I appreciate and love you all. Starting with my brother, King Newborn. Me and him used to bump heads left and right. I
Mhm.
have nothing but love and respect for him. John never laid eyes on this man, and he has been nothing but supportive and respectful to me. Diamond, he is new to this group, yet he lets me know if there is anything I need, he is there.
That's right.
I've had men in my ear all week speaking nothing but life into me. I'm not going to mention your name. I just want you to know that I appreciate you all. Good men do exist. I got several in my corner,
Mm.
several that speak life into me, several that remind me how valuable I am in a world that'll quickly tell me you're nothing. But I got them in my ear. You are something, Queen, Goddess, Renee, God level. I just wanted to take that moment just to say thank you.
And thank you, beloved.
Thank you. Ah, with that being said, John, you want to take it away?
There's something that I'm looking for. I'm looking for compassion. Compassion is calm. Compassion is strong. I'm passing it on like it's genetic. I'm sympathetic to your suffering so I can help. Before I gave you, I learned to give it to myself. It's essential for my health. Good-hearted is hardly good. To care about something or someone I never felt, that's superficial. Sometimes that's how we use it, though, as an excuse for how compassion gets staged like musicals. Am I delusional? I see you like a respirating, breathing through. I'm treating you with critical care, serving you this glass of optimism that's clear enough for you to see it through, and enough for me and you. When you're trying to thirst and your humor is dry, it means about Smith, Tyrese, and Kanye crying from hurt. Everyone's laughing at a joke that I don't get called compassion. But don't get it confused. Empathy makes you feel, but compassion makes you move. It's a sound, a profound thing. Prayer said that compassion is an action word without boundaries. It's a necessity, a fashion, and ability. Sometimes the ghetto treats it as a luxury. Analyze the state of humanity. Kind of crazy. Teenagers deal with depression. We call them like the single black mothers raising daughters in the 80s who
Yeah.
have to choose between school and keeping the baby of a father who was molested as a child. Kill the hate with compassion, bring it with a smile. May my words of affirmation you can you cry at your own way because I beautifully speak like to your death. My best wish is to kiss life from Sade with the lipstick, spot your cheek and hits it to wake you, not sedate you because a love tap hits different. Compassion is a prayer in the flesh. It's multiracial, yet it's suppressed. Love me to life. Don't to death. If I'm drowning in the sea of regrets or breathing underwater in an ocean full of, I just hope that your compassion takes the form of a lifeguard. Yes, yes. I love gifting people stuff, but exercise my heart by lifting people up.
Come on, man.
First come awareness, then compassion. I learned to be patient, be less reactive, and more understanding, and to be more outstanding.
Mm, mm,
Put yourself in your shoes. We wear different sizes, though. The blind ain't leading the blind. Nah, my eyes are closed. I understand what it means to be sightless. As you take me to place that you describe with your words, see, I found epiphanies through my empathy.
Mm.
Break dance so well, it don't miss a beat.
Come
mm,
on.
mm, mm.
Lucky to ever be broke. Hard eyes see too clear to ever lose hope. It's still clearly on my paper. Land I'm spiritually wealthy. I'm compassionate.
All
Mm, mm,
right.
mm, mm. Baby, you did that. John Skywalker, he's available on all streaming platforms. Go download him now,
All
please.
right. I
And
say.
as always, this is
As
God
always.
level.